Hey, this is the All-Seeing Monkey broadcasting to you from just outside Chicago. Tonight's episode, the season premiere of this channel, is going to be something a little goofy, but it is something of growing concern, actually, kind of around the world. Now, I've been watching a lot of videos. I ended up deep diving this after kind of becoming aware of it myself. I was living down in Southern Illinois until here recently, and while we were down there the last couple of years, we'd been noticing. Now, this is literally a middle of nowhere kind of town, like less than 2,000 people, nothing of remote interest in that area for miles. And every night we would notice just, we call quote unquote drone activity. And it doesn't take much to spot one. You go outside, you'll be looking up, and you'll be looking around at the stars, and the first thing that kind of started catching my eye was probably about 2 years ago. I'd started noticing, I don't remember those stars being there, but, I didn't really stand there and stare at them, and I just kind of look at them and like, whatever. And then there'd just be like a new really bright one, and I'm like, whatever, maybe it's just a satellite or whatnot. But lately, especially this last year and a half, it went from just being, you just see one and it looking a little sus, to suddenly you notice that there are, first off, dozens of these. And then, again, what catches your eye is that these aren't, the stars that you're used to seeing. And you'll stand there and you'll like grab onto something, make sure you're standing there completely stable, and you'll like lock eyes, kind of like a tree branch in between you and the star, something like that. And you'll watch this thing, just not just a subtle little flicker movement like that. No. We're talking like moving several inches to the left, to the right, going in kind of circles, and then it'll stop, and you can just see this little bit of a subtle bob, very much like a drone. And you'd be like, okay, so it's just a drone, man. What's the big deal? The problem is that this thing is up there. These things are up there every night, going to the exact same positions, moving around, doing things once in a while. Like, I haven't quite figured out which ones, down there, while I was there, I couldn't really figure out which ones consistently would move and which ones wouldn't. There were some that you could there were some that were consistent with their movement. There were some that were like, I could never tell which ones were going to be the ones that just would take off and go doing things. But you'd just be sitting there staring, watching, and be like, yeah, that star's kind of whatever. And then it would just zoom off after just sitting there for an hour or so. You come back out and have another cigarette, and it's still in the same spot roughly. And then it just will take off to the left, zoom several feet to the left, and just completely disappear. And no streak like a shooting star or something like that. No. And nobody really knows what to think of this. Nobody really knows. Everybody just, we keep calling it, quote unquote, drone activity, because that's the best way to describe it. Whatever it is, they're way up there, and they have no red and, green or any of the other running lights. These are, I'm being real. It looks like they're purposely trying to look like a star. It looks as if they're trying to purposely look like a star, as if that is the intention. That is supposed to be the point. And so everybody starts, you go to, over a couple of towns, and they're seeing the same things at night, different ones and all that kind of stuff, kind of the same consistent ones, some of the bigger, brighter ones. It just depends on how far you go. But even up here at night, it's the same thing. I talk to buddies that live in Australia. I talk to buddies that live in Holland. I talk to buddies that live in Germany, France, Alaska, all seeing the same things. I go to YouTube. You consistently see things about this here and there. It's nobody can tell what the hell these things are. There are crashes happening. Things coming down at night. Explosions being heard up in the sky, above the cloud layer that nobody can figure out. And these are all, you could say, you're just, I'm not the one reporting it. I'm not the one that's having these things happen. I mean, I've had some things I, like I said, noticed here around where I'm at and where I was. But overall, again, I would point out, I didn't tell my government to sit there and waste, months, almost years now, going over this same thing, that they'll admit that there's something going on in our skies that they just really won't quite tell us. And again, I try not to jump on one side of the fence or the other, because I am not likely to believe that there's little green dudes or something like that. It's just kind of really way out there. But I will admit that there's something going on, and nobody can put their finger on it. And when you're looking at it, it's just like, okay, just drone activity. Well, then it's getting to a creepy level. Let's just be real. If these things are everywhere around the world, who owns them? Why are they just popping these drones up all over the place? Why are you trying to imitate stars at night? What are you gaining from this? Where did we sign off on being mass surveilled like this? I don't remember this ever being put to a vote. And this is the kind of crap that's kind of going on in the country nowadays. And it's not just in our country; it's in other countries. Small, big, poor, rich. It doesn't matter. Not that there really is any rich countries anymore. The entire thing is just, there's a lot of sus crap going on, and nobody can quite figure out why or what's going on. But I'm really hoping that we can dig into that on this channel. There's a lot of different crazy little things I want to talk about, and I hope that this will be the place where I can just freely open up about that and talk with the rest of you, because I don't know which way to go. I don't know which theories, right? What I will say is, I see what's going on in the news. I see what's going on in the world with AI. I see what's going on with the technology. And I see, what some of your people were saying. It is like everything has been geared. I mean, we've been saying it for 15, 20, 30 years now. It's like decisions keep getting purposely made to guide everything into just a more messed up situation. And now we're looking at, what's going to happen in the next 5, 10, 15, 25 years, even 50 years. And it's not good, folks. Let's be real. AI, it was something that we probably should not have let out of the bottle. We probably should not have done this one. And I'm somebody who's all for technology. I think the concept of AI is really cool. I would have loved to have had like a data droid someday, like from Star Trek, something you could interact with like that. I do enjoy it, and I take it is very interesting to interact with it even thus far, the primitive models we have. I think other humans probably understand what I'm saying, just to have an outside point of view once in a while that's not quite human, not quite tainted by its own desires as, say, other humans would be. Just a black and white opinion sometimes is nice. But the problem is that this thing, with the models that are out there so far, they're concerning, to say the least. The amount of jobs that are being replaced over this next year by AI and different things like that is absolutely insane. I mean, we are talking thousands upon thousands upon thousands of jobs, and that's just here in the US. That's not even talking about worldwide, where they're probably in other countries like China and Japan, where they're far more technologically, evolved than we are. They are probably integrating it in ways that we can't even imagine. I mean, let's be real. Look at the world around you. I mean, they're already like putting chips into people. We got fucking AI going on. Robots are suddenly with it. It was like we had this huge stagnation for a while until this last like 3 or 4 years. Suddenly there's been another boom takeoff again. Where did this come from? I think it's just, the world is a really messed up, concerning place right now. What the direction it's going doesn't look good. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be very real. Just day one on this channel, holy crap. I'm not trying to be like a doomsayer or anything. I have no idea what the heck exactly is going on or what is going to happen, but I am aware of some of it that is going on. Like, some of it is absolutely undeniable to me from just firsthand experience. Like, there is something going on behind the scenes that we are not aware of. And what's more disturbing is when you try to do research into these kind of things, and you'll find things about the topic, but it's all very misleading. It's all leads you down massive rabbit holes. And you never find exactly what you encountered usually. You have to run across other people, and then you start sharing details, talking to each other, and then that's when and what you find is a very creepy realization that your internet is being filtered. that it is being completely censored, and I mean on deep fucking levels, ladies and gentlemen. And this is part of why I'm a pissed off little monkey. Right? I have seen way too much. From day one, this world has told us, our governments, our schools, everything that's been, federally funded, around the world, however you want to look at this, we were told to be good people, which I have no problem with that. We were told don't kill. I'm okay with that. I don't really want to kill, and I don't really want to be killed. We were told don't steal. That's okay. I don't want to take other people's stuff, and I don't want my stuff taken. We were told to follow all these rules by the people who behind the scenes were worse than anything we could ever imagine or want to be. At least I think most normal, kind people anyways probably felt that way. It just, you stop and you look at the world and you just realize very early on as a child, I don't know if everyone had this moment, but I remember having this moment standing there in music class, watching a bunch of the other kids sing and dance, the teacher's command, and I wouldn't. I noted something about everybody in that moment, that so many of them were willing to just go along with whatever they were told. And you see this even today. People will just go along with the narrative. They are so quick to excite, so quick to look for some reason to let their hatred, their anger, their own fears and frustrations out on something. And that's the sad truth, is a lot of people are so angry nowadays because we're more afraid. We're facing the realization that with everything going on, my wife's job will probably be useless. Most jobs I've ever done will be completely obsolete. They're not going to even be around. Even what I'm doing now in 10, 15, 20 years will probably not be needed. I'm just waiting for somebody to come along and just steal my voice and be like, well, because you use this software, we have the right to do this. I'm just going to be like, well, fuck. There goes that. That's why I try to use just 2 programs. Nothing that's been touched by AI is allowed to record my voice. Hell no. I'm not allowing it. I do not sign off on that. Nobody has a right to use my voice for any of that crap. No. And I think a lot of people feel that way. You don't even feel safe about your identity. Oh, and speaking of identity, now YouTube started this whole crap where they either want a picture of your ID, they want this or that, and it's just no, you don't need any of that. And it's not even as simple as this, oh, we'll just turn on your webcam and, we'll see the blah, blah, blah. No, they'll make you scan this thing with your damn phone, which if you're like me and you don't use a phone, you're kind of screwed. So maybe I could use a wife's phone or something like that. But you have to go through this whole process where you have to scan something and then use this phone and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, no. You stop. Stop using this damn excuse on us. Oh, for the children, for their safety. There's always this thing will happen right before this big thing. And then they'll use that as an excuse to change a bunch of crap. If you were concerned about children, you would have made those rules from day one. But it's going to be real. I'm so tired of that damn excuse being used. It's always, they use the children or some other type of fear to get us to yield more and more fucking freedoms day by day. And day by day, I watch the rest of the fucking monkeys just go, right the fuck along with it. And I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick and tired of being looked at like I'm the fucking problem. People getting, well, why are you so mad? Why are you so fucking frustrated? Why you always got to point out the negative shit? Because none of you are fucking doing anything about it. That's why. You're all just fucking walking hand in hand, right over a fucking cliff. And meanwhile, every warning bell is going off in my head. Danger, Will Robinson. This is fucking stupid. Do not follow the rest of the monkeys off that cliff. Yet I am grabbing everybody I can and trying to push them back the other way. And people were getting mad at me for doing it. That's the reality of the world we're in. You are considered outcasted and mad for seeing how fucked up this society is. You have more and more people just crashing out. You have more and more fucking surveillance just day by day. More and more freedoms yielded out of fear and children and blah, blah, blah. One excuse after a fucking another. And they wonder why people are fucking quitting their jobs and they're just done. Because we're tired of being slaves. We're just tired of it. There, I'm just going to say it. That's how we feel. We do not care about your corporate's ambitions or goals. You don't share any of that wealth with us. Why would we care? Why would we care if your company fucking does well this year and you get to build a new swimming pool and get a yacht and go on like fucking 4 vacations while your workers go 4+ years without ever once going on a fucking vacation? And can't even afford a tin boat to take their grandkids out to go fishing. That's the reality of our fucking world. That's the reality of the workplace scenario. The workers don't care anymore. You stopped caring about us a long time ago. So why should we care about you? We've been extending the olive branch for 50+ years. And all you've done is just shit in our face. Workers are just tired of it. And in some countries it's better. You know, I worked over in Europe, and let me tell you right now, their worker protection and just, you know, everything is so much better than what we have over here in the U.S. Over here in the U.S., it is complete dog shit. This whole thing is just nothing but a big fucking scam to keep you, like, in this system, but never evolving through this system. You're not getting anywhere. It's like, let me put it this way. If you start off simple at 18, you're like, you know what? I just want to go off. You know, I want to have a simple life. I want to go, you know, live in the woods, you know, just like a little half acre, you know, with a little tin trailer, you know, or something like that, a little cabin. Guess what? Do you realize how many years, how many decades you're probably going to have to put in? You're going to at least one in order to accomplish everything you want to do. And that's if you are very smart, speeding all the way through it and doing the right things. You know, you might end up with that nice little 1 acre, you know, with a little cabin kind of deal. But more likely, you'll be lucky to get the 1/4 acre with a fucking trailer on it, okay? And that's if you're extremely lucky. And it'll probably take you 2 or 3 decades if you're a normie to get that. If you're just one of the 99%, you're screwed. Like, your whole life, you're like, I don't want to be part of the system. I just want to be out of the system. I just want to live out. I don't want this. I never fucking wanted this. I didn't want to go to work 9 to fucking 9 plus fucking whatever mandatory overtime and mandatory overtime days you fucking lay on us. No, I never wanted that. None of us wanted that. We wanted to be able to work to live, not live to fucking work. And that's the difference of the mentality. They view us as just part of the machine, make us money. And the worst part is at the very top, they realize that money isn't the true value. That's never been the value. But we'll cover that in the next episode. I've done enough ranting for now. I hope you'll join us next time on The All-Seeing Monkey. Till then, fuck y'all, and let's get some people pissed off.